The RAND and RANDBETWEEN functions in Microsoft Excel allow you to randomly generate numbers. This can be useful if you want to randomly populate a column of data with random numbers, or if you want to randomly choose an item from a list, you can use the RANDBETWEEN function in conjunction with the xlookup function to randomly select an item from a list of items. In this video, we're going to learn all about how to use the RAND and RANDBETWEEN functions. So here I am in Microsoft Excel, and first I'm going to show you how to use RANDBETWEEN. And you can see the formula there on the screen. So to get a random number between two numbers, you just type in the equal sign, and then when you have the equal sign, you type in RAND, and you get the selection of the different options that you could choose from. So I'm going to use my arrow key, my down arrow key, to move down to RANDBETWEEN. And here you can see a little tooltip description of what RANDBETWEEN does. It returns a random number between the numbers you specify. So we'll take a look at this in documentation here in just a second, because it's really important to be able to know how to use the documentation and to reference the documentation, because this could save you a lot of heartache when you use the documentation. And we'll see some illustrations of that in some videos coming up soon. But here, just to use RANDBETWEEN, I'm going to click on it. And when I double click it, it brings it up. I'm going to specify 1 to 1000. And so this will return any number, a random number, evenly distributed between 1 and 1000, including potentially 1 and potentially 1000. So when I press enter, it gives me a random number. And if I go to the formulas ribbon over here, I have these two buttons right there, calculate now. There they are, calculate now and calculate sheet. And you can see the tooltip shortcut for that right there. Calculate now is F9. So if I press F9, it's going to calculate this randomly every time I press it. So I could just keep pressing F9 and it's going to randomly calculate it. So this will calculate the whole workbook. And if you read that tooltip there, if I hover over this, you'll see that tooltip. Calculate the entire workbook now. If I just want to calculate the sheet, I could use Shift F9 to just calculate the sheet. So that's using RANDBETWEEN. To use RAND, it's very similar. We come over here to this next tab in this workbook. And by the way, you could download this entire workbook that I'm using. You could download it from a link in the description below. So if you want to check out this workbook, go ahead and download it and you could work with it too. But now I'm going to type in RAND. And when RAND comes up, I get this tooltip again. It returns a random number greater than or equal to 0. So it could be equal to 0 and less than 1, but it won't return 1. So greater than or equal to 0, right, means it can return anything greater than 0 and also potentially 0, and less than 1. But it doesn't say equal to 1. So it's not going to return 1. It'll be anything from 0 inclusive, they'll say in programming, all the way up to 1 exclusive, excluding 1, but all the way up to it. And it's evenly distributed again. It changes on calculation. And so I put in those parentheses there like that. And when I first started working with computers and first started working with Excel, that seemed weird to me, that it's like, what are those weird characters doing at the end of that? But when you have a function, and so this is the RAND function, and I'm just going to press enter so we could go back and look at the RANDBETWEEN function. There we go. I got a random number between 0 and 1. But this is the RANDBETWEEN function, and this is the RAND function. And all functions are always going to have parentheses after them. That's just how they're written in programming languages and in computers and in programs. All functions have these parentheses after them, even if they don't take any arguments into them. And so this function right here receives two arguments, right? It'll receive the number, the low number and the high number. And you pass those arguments, that's what they're called. They're called arguments. You pass those arguments into the function. So in computer terminology, right? That's how you talk about it. You say, here's a function and it takes two arguments, and then we pass those arguments into it. And those arguments get passed into the parenthesis area. And so when you have a function that doesn't take any arguments, you still include that parenthesis area, because that's where arguments will be passed in if that function did take arguments. But for a function that doesn't take arguments, they're just there and no arguments get passed into them. So this is how we use RANDBETWEEN and RAND, and allows us to generate random numbers. And we're going to be able to use that to do things like randomly generate a name generator, and we're going to see that in a couple of videos coming up. But the last thing I want to show you here in this video before the video is over is to go into help. It's always good to read about functions you use. And so if you go to help and you come over here to the help button, it'll bring up the documentation, the official documentation for Microsoft Excel. And this is the best place to learn about anything you want to know when you're going to use it, right? In Excel, it's always good to check the official documentation. So if I type in RAND, I could go in here and I could see the documentation for RAND, and then I could click on it. Hey, tell me about the RAND function. And then it'll give me, the official source, the official source of the RAND function, and it'll tell you how to use the RAND function. It'll give you some examples down here. And if I type in RAND between and then search for that, so RAND between, there we go, RAND between function, search for the RAND between function. I could then click that, and again, it'll give me some examples of how to use the RAND between function, and it shows you the syntax here. The RAND between function syntax has the following arguments, right? The arguments, that might seem weird if you haven't worked with computers before, right? It has these arguments, and the arguments are the bottom argument and the top argument. So the bottom is required, right? And it's the smallest integer RAND between will return, and the top is the required, it's the largest one. So that's just a little bit about computer speak, computer terminology, and functions, and how they have the parens and they take arguments, and how it's always really important to come into the documentation when you use something to look it up. And we're going to see why it's important coming up, because in future videos, because there's some really good things that you can learn by reading the documentation. So that's a little bit about the RAND and RANDBETWEEN function. In the next video that I make for this YouTube channel is I'm going to show you how to use xlookup in conjunction with the RAND and RANDBETWEEN function so that you could randomly select an item from a list. That's going to be totally cool. And we're also going to learn in that video why you should use xlookup today and not VLOOKUP. And we're going to learn that by looking at the documentation. If there's something you want to learn about Excel or about technology in general, make sure you make a comment down below. Leave it in the comments. Hey, I'd really like to see a video on this, and I'll take a look at that and eventually be able to get around to making a video to help you learn what you want to learn about tech. If you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. That helps support me in doing all of this. And also, if you want to see that next video that I'm going to do on xlookup, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you can be notified when that video comes out. See you next time.